This is Monocle on Design Extra. It's a short show to accompany our weekly programme where we discuss everything from architecture and craft to furniture and fashion. I'm Ailey Evans. Transforming existing objects into new items, or upcycling, is becoming more popular in the design world. One creative well versed in the challenges and joys in producing work this way is Sheryl Leysner. The interior, furniture and lighting designer has produced statement art lamps for hospitality, retail and office spaces for over a decade with her atelier, Rui Bolster. I recently caught up with Sheryl at her studio in East Amsterdam to find out more about her approach to reuse and upcycling.
Lighting has always been my first priority in any interior design. It can make or break any design. I asked my boyfriend back then, he was an electrician, can you make lamps for me? I have a lot of ideas. The budget is always so small. We can just create something beautiful. And it started with one lamp and then two and then more. And now it's sort of a company within my company. I still design most lamps for my own projects, but now other designers discover it as well. And also owners of buildings who maybe have a big void in the building and they need an art light, something spectacular. Then we design custom lamps for other projects.
And what is the key to having an extravagant art lamp? What needs to be at the start for it to be an amazing piece?
Upcycling is a big part of it. It's not just the composition and the color, but it's also the story behind it. Where did you find the material? What we also do quite often for companies, we ask when they move what you want to get rid of. Show it to us. Maybe we can reuse it in your interior or in an art light. And that's what makes it amazing, because people recognize it, but it became something else. So it had a transformation. What you see usually on the table, for example, is suddenly hanging in the sky.
And with those projects, upcycling or using something familiar in a different way, are there any examples of projects that have really stuck with you and that you remember fondly?
One of the most exciting projects with a lot of Rui Bolster lamps is definitely a hotel. It's like a Via hotel in Amsterdam. We did all the lamps in the whole hotel and the whole concept was quite open. So the building was from the 90s and I played with all kinds of themes from the 90s, from hip-hop music, street art. It used to be an office, so we upcycled old office stuff. Old phones. So this stuck in my mind because it's very colorful, very happy, very youthful. It was done in 2017 and people are still very excited about it. So am I. There's also a project in Varos in Hoofddorp. Spectacular because the first big corporate building that we could sort of rebrand completely. All the lamps, and one of my favorite ones it's in a big atrium, and the atrium is, like 20 meters high, and the whole installation is like 12 meter high, made out of hi-hats from a drum set, the brass. It's a nice composition with a spiral-shaped form in this atrium. Very excited about that art light, because it just brings the whole place together. Everybody that enters the building, the first thing they do is to look up. And it's like the sun is always shining there. That's the effect it has. And music is also one of my biggest inspirations in life.
If you're working with existing materials, is it a case of doing an inventory and figuring out, right, we've got 10 of these, or what the palette is from what's presented? How do you take that material and then transform it? What's your process with it?
It's funny. It's like also many people ask me, like, what happens first? You find this stuff and then you design the lamp, or first you design the lamp in your head and then you find the stuff. And it goes both ways. One of my other favorite projects, it's called W70 Rotterdam. It's in a former office building from Shell. The assignment was actually, here you have a building, you can use everything in the building. This is the budget, was relatively small because they want to demolish the building in like 4, 5, 6 years and create a new apartment building. But a large amount of materials, and I could use anything in the building. They said there's no limit, whatever you want, you can use it. So we upcycled everything into the interior and into the lamps, and it's a lot of fun. I gave it an 80s vibe, pop music and TV shows from the 80s. I just present everything step by step. First like a mood board, then the things to upcycle, then I create a 3D design. After they approve the 3D, then we start producing.
In the time that you've been working producing these lamps, what has the response to upcycled projects been, or have you seen more of these ways of making become sort of more
now
normal?
It's sort of normal, and I started in 2011. It was definitely not so common. It was actually a reason for me to quit my job back then, because I was a bit bored with all the new things that everybody was repeating all the time. I wanted to do something more creative and upcycling, and now it's sort of the normal way to go, right? Everybody does it. But yeah, everybody does it in a different way. That's the fun thing about upcycled stuff. It never gets boring because it's usually just one of a kind. There's only one of these old things, or maybe two. It's much more interesting.
Sheryl Leysner there. That's all for this week. If you're eager for more design stories, then listen to our main programme, Monocle on Design, airing on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. London time. Or if you prefer print, you can pick up a copy of Monocle magazine. It's available on all good newsstands now. Today's episode was produced by me, Maylie Evans. Thank you very much for listening.